Holiday Books, and I'm going to talk about the Bailey's long-listed and short-listed books today because today is the day before the day. Tomorrow the winner will be announced, and it's pretty exciting. I've just had the most fun reading the Baileys and thinking about the prize, and I don't know, it's just really neat. I mean, I've been exposed to a great body of literature, and it's just been really neat to be reading some of the books that some other people are reading at the same time and thinking about critically. I've just thoroughly enjoyed the process. The Baileys is a women's prize for literature from the UK, in case you were unaware of that. I certainly was 6 months ago. But I will definitely be doing this again because it was just so much fun reading a prize list. I never knew that there was so much fun to be had with books. Or maybe I did. I like books a lot. I love them. Anyway, I'm just going to go through my list, my stack, and put them in order of my least favorite to favorite for you, and then maybe have a few thoughts at the end. I read 10 of the 16 long-listed books. I read 4 of the short-listed. I do have one more. There it is. I have Bark Skins that I did not get to. And of the short-listed, I did not read First Love because I have no interest. I'm not really into contemporary relationship stories quite as much. So that one I knew did not appeal. And Stay With Me, for the same reason, my initial thoughts on the topics that I knew about, I wasn't really that interested in. I do like cultural stories, so the fact that it was a Nigerian story did interest me. But the fact that it was more contemporary relationship and infertility, I'm sympathetic to these topics, but they just don't personally interest me. But since watching a lot of reviews, I do wish that I'd gotten that one. And by the time I realized that it was too late to get it in time because it's not published in the US yet, so I'd have had to order it from Book Depository. So if it wins, I will get it, definitely. And if I see it out and about, I may pick it up anyway. But anyway, so that being said, I think that Stay With Me is a strong contender, but I haven't read it and cannot contribute. And I think that I will like Bark Skins a great deal, but I just ran out of time and it's a big book. So these are the 10 that I read, and I've talked about them more extensively in my wrap-ups, except for Goose Off Sonata, which is the last one that I read, and I have not wrapped it up yet. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Let me get started. The Lonely Hearts Hotel is number 10 on the list for me. This was a big letdown. I love the writing. The section where their children is gorgeous. I enjoyed it a great deal. But then there was just this huge disconnect, a letdown for me between who these characters were as children and who they became as adults. It just didn't work for me. In a nutshell, that was what I would say. Let's see. There's a good spot to start my stack. And then Goose Off Sonata, same thing. And I'll talk about this more. I had such a disconnect with the emotions in this book. There are a couple of things that I really liked. The ending was super sweet, but that was just 2 or 3 pages. And there is a section in the middle where some British soldiers are going in to liberate Bergen-Belsen concentration camp that I think would make a stunning short story. But overall, it just wasn't... Neither of those worked for me emotionally. Yes. Then The Mare. This one, this one is, there are some of these books that I think are just written very well from beginning to end, which those two I would say are. They're just very well written stories and characterizations and whatnot. This one, it has flaws. Like, initially when I read it, I just was taken in by the characters and their voices. But it just went on too long, and I got bored with it. But this, and then there's also the own voices and the struggle with how the Dominican family is portrayed and the white woman. Yeah, there is some problems there, depending on your perspective. But this book, there's a minor character, the mother of the little girl, and I was completely wrapped up in her and who she was. I just thought that character was extremely brilliant. Extremely brilliant. So, and then Hagseed by Margaret Atwood. This is another well-written novel. It just arcs very well, characters, everything. I was very interested in reading her. This is it's not a rewrite of Shakespeare, but she used Shakespeare's The Tempest as inspiration for the story, and it's just very clever, and I enjoyed that. Definitely. Another well-written, The Dark Circle. And when I was reading this, I was just so drawn in by the delicacy with which she brought the characters into the story, and the way she layered the characters is just beautiful. But overall, the further I get from this book, the less that I remember. It didn't speak to me in any profound way. I remember it's about the NHS and tuberculosis, and I don't remember much from there. So the major themes just didn't resonate. They didn't impact me. This one, on the other hand, did. It's subtle. It's beautiful. It's a well-written story. I think it ended a little too abruptly, but that's the only minor flaw that I had found with it. But I just loved the grief that was portrayed in here, and I didn't love the sexism, but I found it very interesting in reading it with the police force. So I really, really liked this a lot. And then Naomi Alderman's The Power. This book would be great for a book club read. It just really makes you think about a lot of things with, what would the world be like if women had all the power? Yeah. So yeah, this is a great book. My only problem with it, when I read it, I felt like it was very pulp fiction-y and not literary prize-y. I've heard a couple people, I just watched Lauren and Jen's video, and someone else has mentioned the same thing, that it's got a very YA vibe. And I agree with that too, except that I think that some YA fiction is so powerful. And not to say that this isn't powerful. I think that Jen Campbell said it best. She said something to the effect of, it just lacked a little bit of intellectual depth. I think it relied too much on sensationalism and didn't put enough intellectual and emotional depth with the characters. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's just where it hit me. Cats. And then Do Not Say We Have Nothing by Madeline Tien. This was a great book. As I said in my wrap up, there's 200 pages of difficult clunkiness in the middle, but it's worth it. Very profound, very profound addition to Asian literature, and it's just, I learned so much about the Tiananmen Square and the Cultural Revolution, and the way it impacted individual lives. It's just gorgeous. And then The Sport of Kings by C.E. Morgan. This book is just, the writing is gorgeous to me, and the depth of this book, I mean, just using horse race breeding as a vehicle for racism is just brilliant, and there's just so many layers of brilliant intellectual thought woven into this novel, and then just her beautiful depictions of nature and the southern countryside. And this book has a lot of depth. It's not as accessible as a lot of these other books, but I really do want to go back and read it, and just read it a little bit at a time and absorb what it's saying, and there's so much in here. So much in here. I feel like I had to read it too fast to get through it, and there's so much in this book. And then my personal favorite, the one that I felt had it all, was The Essex Serpent by Sarah Perry. The characterization was gorgeous. The story arc was lovely. And, you know, it left me thinking about so many things, about our need for close friendships, and our need to be able to have intellectual discussions about science versus religion. So many things in this book. Unfortunately, this one was not on the short list, but I did see that it won, I think, something to the effect of UK Book of the Year. I'm not sure what the name of the prize is, but I was glad that it won something because it's very deserving. So, what I think, these three and this one, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These 6 books, of these 6, 4 are on the short list. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I got the impression that the judges were going for impact, like either in a literary sense or a thematic sense. So the books that were, like, I think well written as just a general novel format were this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. And you can see only one of those made it into the top 6. Although I think Stay With Me probably follows that format. And out of those, I think Stay With Me, in my opinion, would have, if I'd read it, from what I've heard from people, it would probably have taken one of these top 6 spots. So these 5 would have been my pick for the shortlist, with the addition of Stay With Me, which I haven't read, so I can't really say, but I think it would. Yeah. And out of these 10, I get to keep them all because I bought them. But honestly, these bottom 2, I thought, like, do I even really want to keep those, because I feel so apathetic toward them. But I think that I will, just for nostalgia, because this is my first, like, prize that I've read the list, and it's just been so much fun. I would highly recommend it. Anyway, so yeah, I'll keep them all just for nostalgia, and also this one has a gorgeous cover. But if I only had 3 to keep, it would be these three. And the Essex Serpent, because this book touched my heart. The Sport of Kings, because this book touched my mind and just will not let it go. And Do Not Say We Have Nothing, because this one taught me a lot. So, yay, Bailey's Prize. It's a great prize. I'm glad it's out there, and I'm glad I was introduced to it this year, and I'm looking forward to seeing which book will win tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon. Bye.